Any questions, anyone? Or is everything okay?
We will take up the questions in the last. Let's continue the webinar.
Okay, all right. Sure. Yeah. So here a few Spanish alphabets and spellings, all right? So the way you write Spanish is very similar, okay? The alphabets and everything else is similar to the English, all right? So you have A, B, C, D until Z, all right? There is one letter which is very prominent to Spanish language, which is the N, okay? Nye is it is used only in Spanish language, this one here. And this one gives you the sound of near. Okay. No any I mean other languages don't really have this letter. All right. So you have the vowels, you have accents, right? And there is a reading advantage which makes it easier than compared to other languages. Because the way you write is the way you read it. Okay. So the vowels are generally stable in pronunciation as well. So reading is also not that difficult, like I said. All right. Next you have, all right. Next you have, um, so the basic structure of Spanish, that is a grammar system, which is called, right? It is in a bunch of other languages as well. You have the nouns and gender, you have articles, adjectives, verbs. A lot of European languages, or in general, all the languages have all these aspects of grammar, right? Together, all these form a grammar system. Here you have genders like masculine or feminine. Okay. Even in Hindi and languages like Marathi, you have masculine, feminine gender as well. So it's very similar to that. Okay. Now here, if you say el libro, right? El libro is the book. La casa is the house, right? So you have masculine and you have feminine. Okay. Then you have adjectives as well. You have articles as well and verbs. Okay. Yeah. Next, you have uh, useful grammar, like I said, right? You have sentence patterns, you have useful grammar. So things are a little bit. Hola. I think hola is one of the most common um, wo- words over there. Everybody, I think, knows what hola means. And somebody who is learning Spanish on Duolingo as well. So I'm sure you know hola. So you have buenas tardes, which means good afternoon, good evening. ¿Cómo está usted? This is the formal way of saying how are you. So again, you have informal, you have formal variations. Por favor is please. De nada is you're welcome. Buenos días is good morning. ¿Cómo estás is how are you, but it is in the informal way of saying it. You have mucho gusto, which is nice to meet. Again, mucho gusto is widely used in Latin America compared to Spain. Okay. Gracias is thank you, and hasta luego or hasta luego is see you later. Okay. Now here a little bit of pronunciations. Okay. So what? Begin learn into Spanish language itself, okay? And it doesn't matter whether it is Spain or Latin America. So here you have the vowels, right? You have A, E, I, O, U. Same in English also you have the same things, right? So the vowels are generally very short and very stable, right? Now, if I later on, if I ask anybody to read all these words, it's going to be very simple because, like I said earlier, the way you write is the way you speak the language. Okay. So it's not like English or it's not like French, right? You write something else and you say something completely different. H is always silent. Okay. So this is not hola, this is not hotel, this is not ahora. It is hola, hotel, and ahora. Okay. And you have J, G, E, and I, right? Very breathy sound it is called. So this is jamón, gente, girar. Again, these letters are always pronounced differently across different regions. In Spain, it is different. In Latin America, it is different. Double L and Y, it again, it is in Spain, it is y. It can be je also. It can be sh also. Again, depending on the region. R and double R. Now, I think if anybody has heard Spanish as, maybe celebrities are talking, or if you've heard Spanish language in general, you might notice that the R sound is very strong, right? So this is R and this is doble R. So you have perro, you have perro. This distinction between one singular R and double R, sometimes it can be very confusing to, understand because it is very strongly used in the language itself. Next is the C and Z. Now, this again varies by region. In Spain, you have lisp that goes on. So if you listen to a lot of Spanish actors, uh, or Spanish speaking people from Spain, you will have, like, for example, this is cena and this is zapato, right? In Spain. In Latin America, it is a complete opposite. It is just the normal cena, zapato, right? So all these distinctions you will learn eventually. And it's from this region, from this country, right? Now, for communication practice, this is something that you have proficiency levels, which is the CEFR, that's the European framework of languages. So French has it, German has it, all the European languages have this proficiency level, CEFR. Okay. So you start with A1, breakthrough level, which is, you learn basic things like how to introduce yourself, understand the language in general. Wastage is the A2 level. So if you combine the A1 and A2 level, it is going to be very beneficial for you because then it will be easy for you to communicate with basic knowledge of the language. It's like a everyday language kind of. Okay. So you'll be able to handle routine exchanges or like, describe your everyday experiences or things. Then comes the B1 threshold, which is a slightly advanced one. All right. So you have like, you'll be able to manage situations, you'll be able to express a lot of your opinions and all of that. So for travel purposes, A1, A2 is sufficient. B1 is also there, but A1, A2 is good enough. B2 is the Vantage level, which is you're able to interact sort of with a better fluency. You're like you start to understand a bit more deeply the language and how to speak it. C1, C2 is advanced and mastery, which is it is also, I mean, it's effective for academic and professionals and social purposes, etc. C1, C2 is used for teaching, or maybe if you want to become something completely in the proficient language itself. Yeah. Next, you have learning pathways. So now learning pathways is basically um, academic, professional, teaching and training, and vocational skills. Okay. So in academic, you have foundation, like I said, which was A1, A2. Then you move on to B1, B2. Then comes the academic Spanish, right? And then you have study exchange preparations. So once you know these four levels, it will be very easy for you to manage across the globe in general. So whether you go to Spain, Latin America, or US or wherever, these four levels, or even A1, A2, or B1, these levels will be very beneficial for you. When it comes to professional, you have A1, A2, you have workplace vocabulary introduced, you have B1, B2 sector specific communication. So this is when in say universities or certain companies, they come to us and they tell us that, okay, we want specific professionals for training us in the Spanish language, right? Because they have clients from Mexico or Spain or other regions, and they want workplace vocabulary. So this is also what we offer because we want to be very specific with the sector, okay, or the domain. So this also is one of the most important pathways with learning Spanish these days because markets are emerging in India and outside of India as well, Spanish speaking markets. So, teaching and training, language fundamentals, methodology is also going to depend on what kind of Spanish you want and what is the purpose of learning Spanish language. Then you have practice, you have assessments that will be done, and of course, continuous development with a lot of mix of cultural communication. Because when you're learning a language, just learning how to communicate is not important, right? You need to understand where to communicate, how to communicate what, right? Then you have vocational and skills. So this is basic Spanish, which is it's called occupational vocabulary. Workplace scenarios, then you have employability communication. This is essential for ITIs, polytechnics, skill institutions. So this will be very, again, specific Spanish you will be learning here. You will be learning basic Spanish, but it'll be very workplace oriented, which will help you to, work in professional settings. Yeah. How to learn effectively, I will brief you a little bit about this. Um, this is basically we need to listen and read daily. Listening is very essential while you're learning a language. It's not just reading does not help all the time. You have to start listening to the language. You need to immerse yourself into the language. What I mean by immersion of that is basically you need to start watching shows. You need to start listening to music, which is in Spanish language, right? Spot patterns. Now, spotting patterns is basically observation is the key when you're learning a language. Okay, you need to observe why a certain pattern is that way. Why is this word this way? Why are you pronouncing it in a specific way? Okay, and practice. Practice, speak and write. Okay, feedback and usage. So you apply in context. Okay. So applying in context is basically you use the language itself, whatever language you know, you have to use it eventually, which is the goal, right? For study, work, travel, cultural engagement, whatever it is. Okay. Next, you have, yeah. Spanish for different audiences. Now, this is very important. Why? Because there's a very stereotypical, thing about learning Spanish language. Spanish language is not only for entertainment purposes. Nowadays, Spanish language is emerging as a very important language in the business sector as well. Okay, and the education sector as well, schools, colleges, universities. So you will have, academic mobility, internships, international exposure. You have career differentiation as well, right? In schools and colleges, you have language clubs, enrichment programs, cultural awareness, student pathways, and you have a lot of avenues with Spanish language in general these days. So it's not only, in the past, I think French and German and all these languages were there. But now Spanish language is emerging as a language which is very practical in usage because like I said, ITI, polytechnics, there's so many skill institutions that, and even we are trying to kind of educate people that, this is a very important language when it comes to workplace situations and applying to corporate companies or MNCs. They all require Spanish language because the networking and the market that is emerging in India and outside of India, which is Spain and Latin America. They require people, say, from India who can speak Spanish language because English is not as much as, as we speak in India, right? Yeah. Next is foreign language opportunity. Now, here, why, like I said, why Spanish can strengthen an international profile is because you have the technical knowledge already, right? Whether you're doing technology studies or other domains. When you add Spanish as a language in your profile, it automatically strengthens your profile. Why? Because you get an advantage that, okay, this person can and has really good knowledge of a different language which is necessary for our organization. So for education purposes, which is, academic exchange, you'll have a lot of research and international exposure as well. Employability also, yes, you will have a very strong profile for this one because like I said, it is the third and second language can, it complements a lot of uh, business and technical aspects of it. For communication purposes also, it's very important because then when you go abroad or even in India, right, you will have a lot of companies that are coming here and they're also operating in India and across the globe. So you will require Spanish as a language in your profile. Yeah. So this is what we basically did today.